Minerva Campbell is the mother of Finn the Human in Adventure Time, and in this video I'll be discussing her backstory, or at least what we saw of it during the Islands miniseries, that being everything she had to go through, how it affected her, and how she got to where she is now in the future. In the first episode of Islands, we find out that there's an island with possible humans on it, that both Susan Strong and Finn felt a need to go to for different reasons. Susan for having memories of once being there herself, and Finn to learn more about human culture and where he came from. As before this point in the series, we had very limited knowledge on the existence of humans as a whole, and were given heavy implication that Finn was the last of his kind and the others were now extinct. But eventually Susan started to gain her memory and speech back, and with this came the reveal that Finn's mother was still alive, as Susan told Finn that she was actually a helper, which is what they call doctors on the island that they're heading to. Minerva would help old people by giving them rides and spend most of her time being a nurse at the hospital on the island. But one day she met Martin Mertens, who was a con man trying to play both sides of the two roles that had been placed on the island, which were called hiders and seekers. Hiders being people who tried to escape the island, and seekers being the people who capture them, as leaving the island has basically become illegal because the outside world beyond the island is claimed to be dangerous. Martin would tell hiders that he would give them a boat to escape on in return for some gadgets, but as soon as they leave he would call the authorities. But eventually one of the hiders forced Martin to go with them, thus resulting in him being caught by Susan, who would break his legs. He would then be wheelchaired to the hospital where he would meet none other than Minerva Campbell, who would look after and treat him for the next couple days. But during this time period, Martin would flirt with Minerva and furthermore ask her on a date, which they would go on when Martin's legs were healed. And then eventually they would move into a house together and end up having a child named Finn. One day, Minerva left Finn with Martin as she had to work, but later on the woman that got caught trying to escape the island because of Martin came back to get revenge. Martin made a run for it and got on a raft to sit in the sea for the time being, but the guardian of the island assumed they were trying to escape and started attacking. Martin would then climb up the guardian's arm and land on its face and use his laser gadget to make its eye explode. But the explosion sent Martin flying and would separate him from Finn, who would then drift away on the raft, surviving off of a magic breadstick until eventually coming ashore to the land of Ooo. But now taking a look at Minerva's perspective, she came home to see the house that she had started a life in with the person that she loves completely destroyed, leaving her in a state of panic, not knowing what had happened to either of them. But as the other hiders are arrested, they say that they can't believe that out of all of the hundreds of people that have tried to escape, the one that finally manages to do it is Martin, making Minerva believe that Martin was a hider all along and that their relationship was just a lie. And so Minerva told Dr. Gross, who would then send Susan Strong to go find them. But as we know, Susan lost her memory at some point along the way, because when we first met her in the episode Susan Strong, she could barely even speak and was scared of everything. But as the years went by, Minerva could only think that Finn and Martin would never be returning. The pain of losing a loved one or thinking they had lied to you about everything is already something difficult for anyone to go through, whether that just be them leaving and breaking up with you, or in a way worse way, them dying. But I feel this outcome is the worst of them all. Them leaving with your child out of nowhere, and you're now given the fear that both of them could be dead. As I mentioned previously, everyone has been made to think that the outside world beyond the island is dangerous. But this caused Minerva to take a step back from work, and meanwhile Dr. Gross began to do some strange and dangerous experiments, which eventually led to the outbreak of a virus with a death rate of 62% for the general human population and a 100% death rate for helpers who face it daily. But with Minerva being the last helper left and knowing she was nearing death, she decided to upload her brain into the island's web in order to put her consciousness into hundreds of helper robots, making her basically the savior of the human race. In Islands Part 7, as Finn and the others finally reached the island, Finn got to see Minerva in this robot state. Eventually, when she checked Finn's DNA and saw he was her son, the version of her that is still consciously living told the story of what happened to her to Finn, but afterwards said it didn't matter anymore because he was here now, and furthermore tried to get him to stay on the island because it was safe here. And as Finn tries to explain that he can't stay, she just hugs him even tighter and says for the rest of your life. And then she tried to make him upload his brain to the island's web like she did, showing just how much she doesn't want to lose him again, and that having him gone for that long has made her 1, overprotective, and 2, has generally drove her a bit mad. Finn then gave a speech to the humans saying that they can't let the fears that they have about the world beyond the island make all of their decisions for them, and that having fear and other emotions is a part of living, showing them that they have free will to explore and learn new things, and that having these experiences is a part of being human, and that staying here won't really allow them to have those. But this causes Minerva to put a shield barrier around the island, as she has such a firm belief that if the humans ever did leave, they would just end up being killed. But this quickly gave her the antagonistic role in the story, as she was literally trying to make people stay here against their will, which is exactly what Ice King, the main antagonist in the early seasons of the show, would do. As Finn confronts his mom telling her to stop, she says that she's only helping people. And so Finn shows her a bunch of his memories of times that he's helped people to show her that this isn't, making her realize that despite not living on the island and instead living in a crazy world which is titled as this dangerous place humans could never survive in, he still grew up to be a helper like her. making her disable the shield and furthermore understand that what she was doing was wrong, and that she had to accept Finn and all of the other humans leaving if they wanted to. Her entire perspective has been shifted. Everything she'd once believed in about the land of Vu wasn't as true as she thought, and her morals on keeping the humans safe even if by force were now completely gone, ending Islands with a very bittersweet finale, with Finn and his mom saying goodbye in a virtual reality version of their old house, bringing both Finn and myself to tears. And then, in the last episode of this series, we actually got to see Minerva and the other humans heading to Ew, where as we saw in Fiona and Cake, they end up creating a little sky island there. But despite everything Minerva had gone through herself, she's still being a therapist for people like Simon. And I think, honestly, she might be the one who needs a therapist, but just seeing how much changed in her life, from all of the highs and all of the lows, and analyzing it down to its final detail, it really made me realize just how tragic this backstory is. I feel it gets a bit lost and overlooked in the vast majority of characters and things going on in this show. So I wanted to talk about it for a while, and I also made a video about Martin, aka Finn's dad, so it only felt right to make one about Finn's mom. But anyway, that's gonna be the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you thought, or anything that I might have missed. But until the next video, peace out.